A dimly lit crime scene. Blood splattered across the walls. A detective kneels beside the lifeless body. A whisper echoes in the air, no fingerprints, no footprints, nothing. Detective Vicky removes her shades and smirks. Now this is a challenge. The body lay in the middle of an abandoned warehouse, drenched in blood but untouched by evidence. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. No footprints. Nothing. The victim had a deep slash across the throat, clean, precise. Detective Vicky examined the scene, her mind racing. A murder without a trace. Not possible. The forensic team was baffled. Even the blood spatter made no sense. It looked like the killer had floated in and out. Then, Vicky's eyes locked onto something odd, a cigarette, burning, untouched, still fresh. Someone had been here. But how? Vicky rewound the security footage of the warehouse. The camera facing the entrance showed the victim entering alone. Then, nothing. No one else. No one leaving. No one arriving. But minutes later, he was dead. Vicky's fingers tightened around her pen. The killer was here, but the camera didn't see them. Which means... She stopped mid-thought. The victim wasn't alone. The killer had already been inside before the cameras started recording. But how had they left without a trace? The blood pattern on the floor was odd. It spread in a direction opposite to where the victim had fallen. Almost as if he had been dragged post-mortem. But there were no drag marks. No smears. Just an unnatural splatter. Vicky crouched down, staring at the blood's edge. She grabbed a UV light, something shimmered faintly. A barely visible handprint. Not of sweat. Of ash. Someone had touched this blood, but their print was made of burnt residue. A ghostly signature. Vicky rushed back to the forensic lab. Check for carbon residue in the blood, she ordered. Minutes later, the results shocked her. Traces of burnt charcoal, sulfur, and wax. The combination struck her instantly, a candle. A ritual. A message. Then it hit her. The cigarette at the crime scene, it wasn't just left behind. It was a symbol. A signature. A murderer who killed without leaving a trace, but always left behind a burning ember. Vicky dug through old case files. Similar cases, bodies found in locked rooms, no forensic evidence, only a burning cigarette left behind. There was a pattern. The victims weren't random. They were all connected to something. A chilling realization spread through her. Every victim had, at some point, been involved in a cover-up. They had hidden the truth about something. And someone out there was making sure their secrets died with them. Vicky revisited the crime scene at night, alone. Something felt off about the place. The way the air hung heavy. The silence. Then, a soft sound, a flick. Her heart pounded. She turned sharply, nothing. But then she smelled it. Smoke. A cigarette, burning in the darkness. Someone was here. Watching. Waiting. She wasn't alone. She reached for her gun but hesitated. This killer didn't make mistakes. If they were here, they wanted her to know it. Back at the precinct, Vicky stared at the victim's phone records. One call stood out. It had been made 2 hours after the victim's confirmed time of death. Impossible. The number traced back to an old, disconnected landline. She called it anyway. Ring. Ring. Click. A distorted voice whispered, "You're looking too close, detective." The line went dead. Vicky's blood ran cold. The killer wasn't just watching. They were ahead of her. Vicky analyzed the last 3 murders with identical crime scenes. The cigarette brand, the burn marks, the blood patterns, every clue led to one thing, a code. The angle at which the cigarette was placed, the ash residue on the floor, even the amount smoked, it formed coordinates. A place. A meeting point. A trap. Maybe. But Vicky didn't back down. She had to go. The location was an abandoned railway station. As Vicky stepped inside, her instincts screamed at her. This was it. The place where the killer had planned everything. And then, she saw it. A mirror. Strange. In the center of the room. Facing her. She stepped closer. A chill ran down her spine. There was no reflection. Vicky's breathing was sharp. She turned, gun raised. A voice whispered behind her, "You already know the victim." She spun, nothing. The cigarette on the ground still burned. No footprints. No sign of anyone. But then she noticed. The mirror had something written on it. A name. The name of the victim. The audience must figure it out. The answer is in front of you. Who is the real victim? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you love unraveling mysteries, subscribe to Detective Vicky for more unsolved cases.